With the 23rd pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver, LSU.
Rush throws downfield, looking for Thomas again. He's got it, and LSU strikes back quickly.
This dude's no slouch now. He put up huge numbers, and most of it deep down the field, a true vertical weapon.
Daniels fires downfield, and coming back to make the catch is Thomas. Makes a man miss, and will score! A second lightning strike.
He's a guy that brings a skill set that we haven't necessarily had.
I believe Brian Thomas Jr. is very underrated. I think Brian Thomas Jr., if developed correctly, could turn out to be one of the receivers, one of the best receivers from this year's draft.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome into Jaguars Today. Playing Trent Baalke's greatest hit right there, Tony. Traded back, got Brian Thomas Jr. Think about all the mock drafts we have done this year, really for the first time, doing multi-round mock drafts for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I feel at the end of them like, I wish I had one or two more picks, right? I mean, at least I do, to fill in. I love those ones where we can trade back, get an extra second, trade back again, get somebody else's second. Very unrealistic that it's going to happen this year.
Yeah.
Imagine how you'd feel if you didn't have the extra third and fourth rounder this year. If we had stuck and picked Brian Thomas Jr. last year, would have been one of the best first-round picks in a long time for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
No doubt.
Right? So we get a free roll on Keelan Robinson. Who knows if he'll ever amount to anything. But we got him in the deal for free, and we got third and fourth round selections as well, hopefully put to good use. Now I feel cold in here. All right? What? Now, hold on. When you put the temperature on, you just go down one or you go down two?
One. It's 73.
All right. I told you, 74 is a weird number, man. Yesterday it came in, it was 74 in here. It felt freezing in the studio to me.
Mm-hmm.
Today it felt hot. So Dylan happened to be standing by the thermostat as I'm complaining. Didn't want to hear me complain. Why would he? Right? And so he turned it down one. Now all of a sudden, man, it feels a little chilly up in here, Tony. I feel like I'm an old man. I wear these long sleeves every single day.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. How are you today?
I'm good.
Everything good?
Yeah. The cold air blowing. Just too much for you.
I mean, I guess, right? I caught a chill, Tony. Oh, no. Dylan Denmark, 2 weeks out from the media mock draft, right?
Yes, sir. Got half of the people confirmed.
Nice.
So
half of our 16 selections.
Yes,
so
sir.
This is what year? What? Take a guess.
Oh my gosh. We
20?
do this every year.
I know, and I know.
And we're
we
always
never know.
like, we got to ask Hack.
I know.
We do it every year. We're like, how many years have we been doing this?
Started in the year of our Lord 2002. I don't know when we started, but we've been doing these for quite a long time, where we have a different correspondent pick for every team. We got Taylor Zarzar.
Yes,
For
sir.
the Titans. I guess because I'm a bad friend, I didn't follow. Like we'd heard that Taylor Zarzar and J.P. Shadrick were like finalists for the Titans job, so I guess Zarzar got it, and that's a shame. J.P. deserves. He's got a great set of play-by-play skills.
Yes,
man.
he does.
He can absolutely do the job, and hopefully he'll get that opportunity one day at the major sports level. But Taylor Zarzar will be leading this thing off less than 2 weeks from now, Tony. We're going to kick this thing off bright and early because we want to give the Jags proper attention for their selection. But it's weird because they fought with the fifth pick. You can't, lead off the bat or whatever. So, whatever. We'll make it happen.
We're not going to have them on the clock and then say, hey, we're going to go to break. When we come back, we'll have the selection.
No, when we come back, then the Raiders will be on the clock, and you have to read the crawl to see what the Jags did when we were on. We'll throw it on the bottom of the YouTube live stream. That would really be the best simulation of the NFL draft. At least it feels like it would be. So 2 weeks out, Tony. I don't know if there's actual momentum or if people like me get bored with the same old, right? With the fifth pick in the draft. And I just get tired. Like my mock today put me to sleep, okay? We'll do our 7-round mocks later in the show. You can take a nap through mine, honestly. It's like eat your vegetables mock draft for Mike Dempsey this week. I did no trades. I did nothing exciting. I went with the chalkiest chalk pick at number 5 in Mason Graham. And then I took a safety in round 2, for goodness sakes, man. I didn't take a skill position player until like the fourth round, like late in the fourth. I took Dylan Sampson because I think you and I have him in pen at pick 126.
He's around
in our mocks. But do you feel, is there a sense that there's something in there? Are the mock drafters bored of putting Mason Graham, or do they feel like maybe this is just, maybe we start to need to think about this a little bit deeper with Mason Graham to the Jags? It's an easy one. People don't like to think about the Jags that much. It's the Jags. What are they going to do? NFL.com right up today. Case in point, right? Yes. Most interesting question for every NFL team heading into the draft.
Yeah.
For instance, the Colts. Is Anthony Richardson redeemable?
That's
is
legit.
he right?
Yeah.
That's a very interesting question. A guy they spent the fourth pick on. For the Jags, what are they going to do with the fifth pick? Like, you can say that about everyone going into the draft. Yeah. What are they going to do with their pick? I mean, that's what's interesting to you?
Yeah, I know the couple of teams that I looked at on there. I know you mentioned what they said about Cleveland, which was what are they going to do with the second pick? And Tennessee was essentially what are they going to do with the first pick?
It was so boring.
Right, so it does feel like the teams that are picking at the top of the draft, they feel like that is the most interesting thing happening, I guess, with all those teams, because the Colts, yeah, that's right. Is Anthony Richardson going to be the quarterback for that team or not? Like, that should be and is the most interesting question around the Colts. Tennessee, I'm with them. I don't know what else you would ask about Tennessee. I guess you could make it specifically a quarterback question.
Well, like, New England is the fourth pick.
Yeah.
Right? Question. Will Josh McDaniels take Drake May to the next level? How about that? Will Liam Cohen
it's fair.
help fulfill the promise of Trevor Lawrence? Is that not more interesting than whether or not we take Mason Graham with the fifth pick?
If I was assigned with doing a story like that, I would be challenging myself to at least come up with a real question about the actual team. Right. That I'm going to be, I got to do it for all 32.
Are there enough offensive weapons in Jacksonville?
Right. This is the NFL. If you're covering the NFL, you have to be able to come up with one interesting angle on every team. To not be able to do that, I mean.
And it's just, you get to Jacksonville, what are they going to do with pick number 5? Oh, wow. I mean, the Jets, burning question, can Justin Fields turn his career around in New York? A lot of quarterback-centric stuff, right?
Which is fine.
Understandable.
It usually is, yeah.
What are the Ravens going to do about Derrick Henry's contract? He's got 1 year left on his deal. He clearly had a spectacular year, outperformed last year. What's going to happen with Trey Hendrickson in Cincinnati? These are the burning questions. The Browns, what's the plan at quarterback?
Yeah.
That can involve the second pick, but what's the plan? You know, and the Jags, who are they going to take at 5? Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, you put a lot of thought into that, but I don't know if it's something in the air. But Chris Trapasso put out a 7-round mock. Now, we often mock Chris Trapasso. And speaking of mocks, so take it for what it is. It's just one person's opinion. But he has the Jags taking Ashton Genty at 5. And I feel like you're starting to hear a little bit more of people at least openly questioning whether or not that would be a good fit, even in the NFL.com piece where it just says, oh, they do with the 5th overall pick. It says, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, likely gone. The Jags do need a more disruptive presence, which is why on the defensive line, which is why Mason Graham is so often mocked there. But the very next name they come up with, they also have offensive line needs. But running back could be an interesting option with Boise State's Ashton Genty considered a strong prospect. And they talked about how Bucky Irving helped transform that offense. Of course, they also recognize he was a 4th-round selection last year. But anyway, I saw Genty there. I was like, fine, I can sink my teeth into this mock. And then he had the Jags trading picks 36, 70, and one of the 2 4th-rounders to move up to get a defensive tackle in the most defensive tackle-rich class. And he got Walter Nolan. Look, don't get me wrong. You come away with Genty and Walter Nolan after night 1, you're going to be a lot to talk about and a lot to be interested in, and those are 2 primary positions. Then you're going to be sitting there without a pick until pick 88.
Yeah.
At that point in time for a team that still has a lot of holes. But regardless, Pete Prisco, who we're efforting to have on probably tomorrow if we're able to work it out with our schedules with Pete. But he did a mock, and he had the Bears trading up to 5 to take Ashton Genty and didn't get into the compensation. Had the Jags, when they moved back, taking Ted McMillan with the 10th pick, which I think is a lot more palatable. I think once you make that move back, if you're getting pick 41 out of Chicago as part of the package, or whatever. Maybe you're getting a couple of thirds, one this year, one next year. I don't know what the chart would tell you exactly what it would work out to be. But once you move back into that range, man, Jalen Walker, Ted McMillan, Tyler Warren, all those guys become a lot more interesting because you're not going to only get them. You're getting whatever else you got paid off to make that move back. But I don't know. Do you feel, is there something in the air? Are people just getting bored with their mock drafts that they're projecting Genty now possibly going prior to the Raiders selection at 6?
I think there is a real thing that goes on with, especially with all these sites that are doing like a different mock every day. You have to have some kind of hook.
There is something to that.
Right? Like then they'll even put it in like the headline of the draft. I have 3 quarterbacks going in the top 10.
Right. Pete's headline was team trades up for Genty or something like in the top 5.
Like I think there is something to that. And that may be part of the, people get a little bit bored putting the same guy in the same place, kind of thing. And, I can admit that I may be falling victim to it too. With the feel that I've had here in the last few days of offensive line is kind of where I feel like it's directing there at number 5. That may be me after a couple months of being very much locked into Mason Graham at 5. Like, that's kind of how I felt for several weeks before that. It's just Mason Graham at 5. And I was okay with that. And now it's, well, maybe it's not Mason Graham at 5. And what would it be? Like, I don't mind the exercise of doing like the mock drafts like we're doing every week and saying, all right, I'm not going to do Graham. This weekend I didn't go Mason Graham at 5 this week. I committed to the offensive line at 5 just to see what it would look like for me, going through the mock draft. And I think there is something to everyone getting bored with the draft process and trying to find some way to keep it fresh, right? If you're having to do it every day, like I did a mock last week or I did a mock 2 days ago, I got to do another one today. I could do the same 32, but it is more interesting, I think, when you have the guys who don't do it all the time. And then when we get closer to the draft, they do this is what I would do.
Right.
Right, like that kind of thing. Or this is what I'm hearing is going to happen. When we actually get to draft week, you get more of that. And those are the most interesting mocks that we can get.
Prisco said he's doing 2 more. He's doing one the Tuesday of draft week, which is going to be what he would do, not what he thinks will happen. And then he's going to do one that'll come out on draft day, or day of first round, which will probably be more of a projection of what he expects to go down. So today, with some of this in mind, and the draft now rapidly approaching, just over 2 weeks away, and we'll have squeezed every bit of life out of all these subjects, and then we'll be able to complain or exalt in whoever the Jaguars selected. So we asked you today, the Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day. Which of these players would create the best trade back opportunity for the Jaguars if they were available with the 5th pick of the 2025 NFL draft? And I listed them alphabetically by position, except I didn't. Because I put O-line at the end. I think I was thinking tackle starts with a T, but I went O-line. So anyway, I got Mason Graham in there at defensive tackle because, look, if he is this surefire top 4 or 5 player and the Jags are willing to move, and you see, like, the times the Jags don't take him, he almost never gets past Carolina in a lot of the mocks, right? Yeah. So would Carolina be willing to come up from 8 potentially and take him there? Is it Ashton Genty himself, right? Who it feels pretty clear if you're a team like Chicago or Dallas or one of these teams that people think are in the market for a running back, and this is a potentially transformational player, you got to get ahead of the Raiders at 6. Is it Shedeur Sanders? That, okay, hey, you know what? We've talked about this. The Jets want to jump the Raiders, or the Saints want to jump the Raiders and the Jets, or who knows what team is lurking out there. Is it Sanders, or is it, once he slides past those quarterback-needy teams at the top, you think, well, maybe he's just not as coveted in NFL circles, or is it a top offensive lineman? And that could be Campbell or Membo. Really, it could be Kelvin Banks. Any offensive lineman you think, because – in theory, one of them could go. The other one could still be available to you with the 5th pick. And different, as we talked about yesterday, maybe the Jags have a strong preference for one of those linemen. Maybe the Patriots do. Maybe they don't. So you can vote on that online. Graham, Genty, Sanders, or a top offensive lineman. Which of those players being available at 5 would create the best trade back opportunity? In other words, get the phones ringing, the most offers. Doesn't mean the Jags would necessarily take it, but who would draw the most interest, do you think, in that scenario? So you can vote there if you would like. Hit us up today in a number of ways if you want to get on the program at 641-1010 on the phone lines. Same number for the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Hop in the YouTube virtual studio chat. I hear we're blowing up on Instagram, Dylan. You'll have to be my my Instagram reporter on that, because I couldn't tell you the last time I looked at Instagram.
Do you ever look at the comments on our mock drafts?
On our mock drafts? Yeah. Occasionally, if they're good.
Oh, okay. I like reading the bad ones. They're kind of funny.
Do you? Okay. Now, in the reply, and I see it that way, yeah, I'll read them. Why?
Sometimes they're like, some weeks they're like, dang, Dempsey's is the best one right here. And
yeah, I got that last week Tony for some reason. Usually it's when you trade back, right? Though you trade back.
People love the trading back. I get it. I would too.
Man.
It's all of our preference. It's the trade back.
Absolutely. Except the number one on my list preference is if they can do a fourth rounder to move up to number 4 if Travis Hunter were available. That's number one on my list. But that's
and further and further away.
Right.
Especially after the pro day.
It's further and further unlikely, but it is a fair value deal according to the board, right? I didn't pull it out of thin air. But, yeah, after that, trade back. And particularly trade back and stay within the top 10 would be delightful. But, I mean, I'd consider going a lot further back. I think, did I mention it on the air yesterday? I think I did. I know I told you guys. I heard Schefter say over the last few days that there are teams in the NFL that feel like there's no difference between the 5th and the 32nd pick this year. That the talent pool is flat after those top couple of guys are off the board, and that includes the quarterbacks, right? So, maybe, but that's the thing. Maybe somebody wants that one particular player, and Genty is a bit of a unicorn. Sanders, Graham, top offensive lineman. Hit us up with your thoughts. You can do that on social media at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, and at 1010XL Denmark.
Duval.
What you wearing today, by the way? What are you repping in there?
I got a Gator sweater.
Okay.
It says Florida, and then I'm wearing a Baldwin t-shirt under this.
Oh, Baldwin T. What kind of hat did you have today?
A Jaguar, Tom Coughlin. Is it J-Fun?
You're just hitting all the bases right here. You got Baldwin. You got
Coughlin, Pride of the Jaguars hat.
University of Florida. You got the rare Coughlin Pride of the Jaguars hat that we got in here. So you're representing all the local squads. How's the track team doing?
Getting ready for Gateway on Friday. We got to trim that time down for the 4x1 and 4x4. We got top 15 in the state in 2A. So
do you have any grueling practice strategies to get those times pared down in the next 2 days?
No, we did our handoffs for the 4x1 yesterday.
Okay.
So
that's key, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That's the 4x1. If it don't matter about your speed. It does, but if you don't have good handoffs, you ain't going to win it.
You're not going to win against the Baldwin Indians.
We got one kid that's sick. He's trying to get back. He had some kind of food poisoning. I'm like, God, come on, son.
Food poisoning will wreck you now, man.
Yep.
It will absolutely wreck you. Yeah. All right, we are ready to go. In fact, we're ready to go. We're going. We're behind. Chad Ryder going to join us here in 15 minutes, and we'll get into his 5-round mock over at NFL.com. Send in your mock drafts today. We've got our 7-rounders that we've put together for the Jaguars. We'll roll through them in the second hour today. Again, mine is much like eating a bowl full of Brussels sprouts, but doesn't mean it's bad for you necessarily, but it may not taste good going down. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark. You're listening to Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios at 1010XL. Dan Hickens.
Spike Lee is shooting his Nike commercial.
Jeff Prosser.
I'm trying to keep emotion out of this.
Mornings.
Even though it's an important issue to me.
On 1010XL.
And I have very strong feelings on the subject.
AA Automotive helps keep your vehicle in dependable and safe condition. Call Sam, Harry, or Joe, and they'll check your brakes, tires, fluids, electric, and motor, so your ride runs smooth on the road. That's AA Automotive on Richard Street.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Tired of changing out bad sod year after year? Get it done right with Roundtree Sod. Big or small, they have it, and always supplied farm fresh. For a lush, legendary green lawn, call 7414-SOD for a free estimate. 7414-SOD.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday on 1010XL. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Surf in the Summer Surf Camp is now registering for camps this summer. Get your kids out to the beach this summer. For registration and session dates, log on to surfinthesummer.com. Surf in the Summer, Jacksonville Beach's premier surf camp.
If golf is your thing, you'll want to check out the 2025 Hills Pass at Hidden Hills Golf Club. Unlimited golf, including golf car, and preferred tee times for just one low price. Visit us at hiddenhillsgc.com to purchase your Hills Pass today.
1010XL's running game takes a giant step forward.
Well, Fred Taylor is the whole package.
Fred Taylor joins Dan and Jeff on the drill. Monday morning running back with Fred Taylor is fueled by Epstein and Robbins and Monahan Jewelers.
Hi, I'm Jeff Breyer, president of Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring.
And I'm Zach Breyer. When my dad started in business in 1990, I wasn't even born yet.
That's true. And after 35 years and nearly 20,000 satisfied customers, we literally have a showroom in every neighborhood.
So whether you need more outdoor living space with a glass or screen enclosure, or you're looking to transform your home with new flooring, we've got you covered.
Visit our websites, or better yet, do yourself a favor and stop by one of our showrooms on Phillips Highway to experience the Lifetime difference and receive 20% off your purchase.
If you're heading to the Og or you're already part of the nation's oldest, don't forget to drop into Sunset Grill. For over 30 years, serving up great chowder, seafood, wings, and cold beer. Sunset Grill, somewhere on A1A, St. Augustine Beach.
Right now, they're on their way to disrupt your life, make you uncomfortable, and rob you. Don't bother calling the police. They can't help. That's right. Summer heat and humidity are about to attack North Florida again. You know what to do. Call Mike Merritt. Mike Merritt's Heating and Air has a license to chill. When heat and humidity are attacking you, Mike Merritt provides a comfortable chill at a bargain price. Mike has been keeping North Florida comfortable for 30 years. Mike Merritt technicians are never paid commissions, meaning you'll never be pressured to buy something you don't need. And Mike Merritt knows cooling issues can arise anytime. They don't just happen during business hours. So Mike Merritt never charges overtime fees. When you need us, we're here for you. Remember, in the fight against heat and humidity, Mike Merritt has a license to chill. Visit merrittair.com. Florida license number CACO 50384.
New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Our slogan, Know Before You Blow, applies to more than just DUI cases. Hi, I'm attorney Lee Lockett of Lockett Law. Battery charges can result in jail time and criminal convictions too, so know before you blow a gasket and hit a loved one or a stranger. Drug crimes like possession of marijuana and cocaine will land you in cuffs too, so know before you blow. In a boating under the influence case, you also have the option to blow or not to blow. So know your options. Know before you blow. Go to knowbeforeyoublow.com now. Offices Jacksonville.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
David here with Royal Pest Services. Man, don't let your yard be torn up by that heavy aeration machine this spring. Visit RoyalPestServices.com to learn more about our granular aeration. Broadcast throughout the tree and shrubs to break up that compacted soil. Visit RoyalPestServices.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
You know, Dylan, I hear Juicy J is coming to town.
Another month, baby. What you know about that?
You know, more than you'd suspect, actually.
Found that out.
We're playing golf on Sunday. I don't even know how it came up.
Oh, I brought up to Gator. I said, Juicy J's going to be here next month. And I just started saying Bands make her dance.
You're right. Okay, that
And
was
you're
it.
like,
I'm like, oh,
that's
I
an
know
old
that.
song, right?
I know that. I'm like, MJD was fixated on that song when we used to do that show on Sirius XM. And then out of the blue, the producer from that show, this is like 10 years back now, haven't talked to him. I talk to him occasionally, like a couple times a year. And he hits me up with an email, and he sends me a clip of Alex Ovechkin's post-goal record-breaking party. And that's like his walk-up music. It's like his favorite song. And I think Dylan thought I was lying about any knowledge of Juicy J right there. I was just bluffing him. But no. What are those tickets going for there, Dylan?
They said about $40.
Are you planning on going?
I don't know.
You don't know?
It'd be
you don't like Juicy J enough?
No, I mean, it's a Friday night. It starts at 10, so I got to probably get off work here at 10.
I got you. He's not worth taking a night off or planning around.
Yeah.
You're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you go to Juicy J with?
A couple of the boys. Yeah, well, Graham's got to get a permission slip. He'll be married by then.
Yeah, he ain't going.
No.
I'll just tell you right now, Graham's not going to Juicy J in the early stages of his romance, his marital bliss. You got some of the fellas, though?
I'm sure I can hit up a couple of the fellas. The ones that aren't married.
If you decide to go to Juicy J, I will subsidize your ticket to Juicy J. All right?
More incentive to go now.
I'm not any of your degenerate friends, though. They're on their own.
Right.
All right, but if you want to go see Juicy J,
I appreciate it.
You know, the benefits of being the Jaguars Today producer, Tony, are is he still popular? Is Juicy J still putting out quality
No, not
music?
really. Not really.
No?
No.
Okay. This is like a throwback concert for Juicy
he did like
J.
a lot of songs when I was in high school from like 12 to 16, and I don't think not that's any popular music.
All right. Well, the
6
offer's there. You got to. When is it? It's coming up.
It's like a month from now. It's like May 15th.
Okay.
May 6th, whatever that Friday.
Don't wait. I'm not buying you like floor seats or front row or anything.
No
like that.
VIP.
No, just no bottle service for you. All right, here we go. Chris Trapasso, Tony, over at CBS Sports. First 4 picks in his 7-round mock: Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Armand Membu, and Abdul Carter. It's interesting. I think that's the best chance for Carter to slip if the Giants go offensive line and then the Patriots go with the other one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you consider Membo and Campbell are truly the top 2. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, for the Jags, what if Jaguars' new and young general manager James Gladstone sees increased value in an uber-explosive running back on a rookie deal? This represents the ceiling for Genty and would be a big boost for Jacksonville's running back room. Jaguars select Ashton Genty with the 5th pick in the draft. A little juicy there. Tet McMillan goes 6th then to the Raiders. Shedeur Sanders to the Jets. And if they're going to take him, I really think that's can be the play. Now, you wouldn't get Genty in that scenario because if the Jets trade up for Sanders, then Genty comes off the board 6. Then maybe you're taking Mason Graham at 7, right?
Yeah.
In this one, he goes 9. Will Johnson went 8. And Shamar Stewart. Oh, God. Poor Taylor Dahl going to the Bears at 10. He was the number 1 guy we didn't want yesterday in the deal. So then, Tone, the Jags package 36, 70, and 126 to climb into round 1. This may be tomorrow's question. Is there a player that you think is worth packaging up a 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round pick to move back into the 1st round? Who would that player be if he's sliding out? I'm not saying Abdul Carter or somebody. I'm talking about a guy who has a chance to slide into the mid-20s.
At that price point. Like we talked about trading up a couple weeks ago or last week, one of those days, and I was looking at it. If you're talking 30 to 32, you know, in that kind of range, and it may cost you a 3rd or 4th round pick, one of the extras that you have.
Get the 5th-year option.
Right. Then I'd really be thinking about it. But when you start talking into the mid-20s, like he has them doing here, then, yeah, the cost is going to be that, and you have to rethink, is there a player that's worth that price tag for you?
It's interesting, though. Walter Nolan was the guy we brought up the other day as could he, if there were a shocker pick for the Jags in the top 10, could Walter Nolan be that guy? Because we all presume everyone feels Mason Graham is the best defensive tackle. That doesn't mean that everyone's rankings are going to be the same. And I do see Nolan not infrequently mocked at number 11 to San Francisco, right? So anyway, he's got the Jags flipping 36, 70, and 126 to climb into round 1. The Jags see a mammoth pass rushing upside with the youthful Nolan and trade a second, third, and fourth rounder to get him after going Ashton Genty at number 5. So I tell you what, that's 2 premium players for sure. Is it worth the packaging of those picks? Again, in a draft where apparently some feel like the talent is going to be flat, at least from mid-first round, well into the second round, but in this case, maybe they feel like he would be a guy who's falling unnecessarily.
Like in the way I look at the trade up scenario here, right? He has them going up to 26 to go get Nolan, and Buffalo takes Kenneth Grant at 30, right? If I was going to do the trade up for one of those 2 guys, especially at the price points, easy call for me that it would be Kenneth Grant.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because if you look at the pick that the Cardinals get, because they did multiple trades, like we traded, I think, with the Rams, and then they traded the pick to the Cardinals. But at 36, they took Tyreek Williams, who is more the Kenneth Grant style, from what type defensive tackle.
Yeah.
And so is it worth getting the pass rush upside of Walter Nolan? How many sacks are you getting out of your defensive tackles most of the time anyway,
if you have a guy that's getting you 4 or 5 a year, that's a monster.
Good, right?
Yeah.
So is it worth giving up picks 70 and one of your 4th rounders for the difference between those 2 players?
Like if we do have that kind of question here in the next tomorrow or whenever, it's not going to be for a defensive tackle.
Not for me.
Right? Like that's not what I'd be willing to do it for. I'd have to think about the scenario, what it would be, but it would not be Nolan or Grant or one of those guys. But if Grant was still there at the end of the first round, going from 36 to 30, something like that, and the cost was the 4th round pick, I'd be in favor of doing that kind of deal if they could get something like that done, because he is the nose tackle that I think they need more than they need another 3 technique. The Mason Graham thing is not, we have to fill this position of need in my mind. Is this the best player that's still available to him at a position where they could use some more help? Right? Like that's why Mason Graham makes sense. It's why, by the way, Ashton Genty and the idea of it has grown and grown and grown in my mind here over the last couple of weeks as well.
All right, well, let's get into it with Chad Ryder, probably our last visit with him from NFL.com before the NFL draft arrives. He's got a pretty fresh 5-round mock out there, so we'll dig into what he is feeling lately about your Jacksonville Jaguars and any players that might be ones who could be trade magnets. In other words, whom could be available at 5 that could induce some offers coming the Jags' way. That is today's Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day. Is it Mason Graham, Ashton Genty, Shedeur Sanders, or a top offensive lineman that would be the most attractive trade bait? You can answer that out there on social media. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark. You're listening to Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here. I try to only recommend the best companies when I endorse a company, and I'm proud to say that I chose Pella Windows and Doors for my own home because they are the best in the business. Don't just take my word for it. You can, but also trust Consumer Reports, who rates Pella #1 in all the major window categories, and right now is a great time to upgrade your own home with 0% financing for 60 months, 5 years of interest-free payments on the best windows and doors in the business. Schedule a free consultation at PellaJacks.com or visit their showroom on Phillips Highway. That's Pella Windows and Doors.
Jaguars
Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. If you've ever screamed, Duval, from the bank, Duval, this is the place for you. 1010XL.
Get a healthy start in 2025. The Florida Department of Health in Duval County is here to encourage you to get healthy and stay healthy this year. They have a dedicated team who are committed to providing quality care. The goal is to protect, promote, and improve the health of you and your family. Visit duval.floridahealth.gov to learn more about their health programs and services. That's duval.floridahealth.gov.
Your home is more than walls and a roof. It's where you breathe, drink, and power through life. At Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to keep it all running smoothly. From clean, cool air to clean water, reliable power to expert plumbing, we do it all. For over 35 years, families have trusted Donovan to make their homes healthier, safer, and more comfortable. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing today. 904-270-COOL, where health meets home.
There's a lot on the line in a divorce. Your home, savings, maybe even your kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce and the unexpected directions it can take, you need a partner you can count on. I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Don't let divorce take more than it has to.
Offices in Jacksonville. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's attorneys. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
It's Awaken 180 Weight Loss Wednesday
on Jaguars Today.
New year, new club. This is Joe C., and I'm proud to be a member of Southampton. And with the popularity of golf, getting a tee time is tough. But with membership comes member privileges. Enjoy clubhouse dining, expanded practice area, focusing on all parts of your game. And right now, you can join with an annual commitment and get a $1,000 discount, plus $500 of Pro Shop credit. All the details are online at golfsouthampton.com or call 287-PLAY and make a tee time today at the Golf Club of Southampton.
This is Hayes Carline for Kingfish Pest Control. Mosquito season is upon us, but don't let them take over. The secret to a bite-free yard is starting today with Kingfish Pest Control. Their 3-step mosquito defense process stops them before they can spread. Eliminate breeding areas, build a protective barrier around your yard, and monthly treatments to keep them away all season long. The earlier you start, the fewer mosquitoes you'll have to fight. Don't let those suckers ruin your outdoor fun. Call Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hey gang, Prosser here, and it's always great when you can replace a problem with a promise. And let me get right down to it. When it comes to Chad and Sandy and selling your home, here's a promise that you can count on. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Now, more. Spring selling season is here. Rates are down. Activity's up. Now's the best time in years to sell your home. Some homes are sitting on the market, though, and hiring an expert who can maximize your equity and minimize hassle is the key. Those expert agents, and I'm recommending them to sell your home, Chad and Sandy Newman. There have been lots of you out there on the First Coast who are taking advantage. Take David and Heather in Fox Ridge. This is out in Orange Park. We wanted to move to Keystone Heights to get closer to family, away from the city. We heard Chad and Sandy on the radio and called. What you hear is true. We got multiple offers and sold in 3 days for $15,000 above asking price. Call the local experts I trust and recommend to sell my home and yours. Call Chad and Sandy, 414-6200, ChadAndSandy.com.
All aboard! The Combine, Free Agency, the Draft.
Here we go!
Ride the off-season like a locomotive with AA Automotive and 1010XL.
Might want to buckle up, baby.
AA Automotive on Richard Street. Family run since 1954.
Open early and open late. Dailies is always there, making things easy for you to cruise in and cruise out. So hit Dailies Cold Case the next time you're craving a cold one. Bud Light by the case. Plus plenty of singles to choose from. Corona to the King of Beers to Stella or a Natty. They're all cold at Dailies.
Jumbo Shrimp Baseball is home at the newly renovated 5-Star Ballpark this week. Tomorrow is Coors Light Thirsty Thursday and JWB night. Don't miss fireworks on Friday and Saturday, plus kids round the bases after Sunday afternoon's game. Baseball all weekend. Tickets start at just $5. JackShrimp.com for tickets. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball. Affordable family fun.
Hey, I'm Tony from Tony D's Pizza. People ask me all day long, is it the water that makes the difference? Well, yes and no. Even water can't make a good pizza. It's the ingredients, too. The best tomatoes, the best flour, and the best cheese. Oh, and a lot of love. Tony D's New York Pizza, Bay Meadows and 295.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Millard Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Millard Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Millard Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Millard Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Getting down and dirty here. The NFL Draft rapidly approaching 2 weeks from tomorrow. Round 1 will get underway. So only a few more guest opportunities on these mock draft Wednesdays here, Tony. We are welcoming back friend of the program, friend of ours, Chad Ryder from NFL.com, has a fairly fresh 5-round mock out there for you to sink your teeth into, Jaguar fans and fans of all teams out there. Chad, good morning. Thanks as always for the time. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. The rubber's starting to hit the road here. We're getting close.
So what changes for you as it gets closer? Is it just the frequency of the product you need to put out, or is the information coming in faster now and you're having to shift your perspective of where players go? Like what changes do you anticipate over the next couple of weeks for your workload?
Yeah, it's really about information and the way things seem to be shaking out. I'll be making some significant changes to what I had put out last week, just because teams are just starting to make up their mind on things, really. And so, you get different information and things start looking a bit better on what gets leaked out and things like that. So you're really trying to shift and look, we all have biases about, what we think of particular players and that shapes what we do. But this time of year, you have to kind of set that aside a little bit and say, okay, well, they like this guy more than I do, so I have to account for that. When I put out the 7-round mock draft in 2 weeks from Friday.
We see Ashton Jeanty connected to the Raiders a lot, including in your 5-round mock that you did earlier this week. Why, in your mind, if you think through it, do you think Ashton Jeanty would make sense for the Jaguars at 5 if they went that way?
Well, he's one of the top 6 players in the draft, and it's kind of that simple. And one of the changes I'm deliberating right now is whether he'll even be there when Jacksonville picks at 5. Because a lot of people are putting like Will Campbell to the Patriots at 4, which makes sense because of their need at offensive tackle. But Mike Vrabel wants to run the ball. And when you're talking about comps for a guy like Ashton Jeanty, Derrick Henry ain't a bad one, at least in parts of his game. His contact balance, his power, and he's got a little more wiggle, obviously, than the big man. But it wouldn't shock me to see the Patriots take him. So in terms of need for the team, I think, Mason Graham makes a lot more sense for the Jaguars than Jeanty does. But it's going to be very interesting to see how high that guy goes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we debate this all the time, Chad, and this is a team that's come in and said, we want to help Trevor Lawrence by running the ball more effectively. And I'm not suggesting that Ashton Jeanty is the favorite to go number 5. But when you talk about need, I mean, Travis Etienne's average under 4 yards a carry the last 2 years. He's in the last year of his deal on the 5th-year option. You do have Tank Bigsby as a backup. You look at defensive tackle at particularly 3 technique. Eric Armstead's moving back inside full-time. He's going to probably only be here for 1 more year, much like Etienne. And you have Mason Smith, who you drafted last year in the 2nd round as kind of an unknown quantity. I don't know if one is, I think the feeling is that the need is greater at defensive tackle, but that's in part because I think you got to play 2 of those guys. I think the need for a 1 technique, a big nose tackle, a big run stuffer is great for this team. I don't know if it's as great at 3 technique as it may be at running back, depending on how they feel about Etienne. What do you think?
Well, I wouldn't plug Mason Graham as one thing or another because he plays all over the place at Michigan. And so if they need him, well, for example, as it's all about sub packages and rotations up front. And there are going to be times where, you're going to want Mason Smith in there. But there's going to be a lot of plays, a lot of passing plays where you can play Mason Graham at a 1 technique, and he can get after the passer as well as stop a run if the team decides to run. So I wouldn't pigeonhole Graham as one thing or another. But look, any team that picks Ashton Jeanty, I can't blame them. The guy's that good. And I'm not going to sit there and say it's a bad pick if anybody takes him. But, like I said, he may not even be there. That's the way it's kind of looking right now.
Wow.
And it's going to be really interesting. So
you think it's likely that he might not be there, it sounds like.
No, it's part of the equation. He's going to go 4, 5, 6. He's not making it past the Raiders. That much I know. Pete Carroll would love to have that guy on his team. But the Patriots, if you're looking for a pick that maybe hasn't been talked about a lot, Will Campbell is put there a lot. A lot of people talk about Will Campbell's arm length, but I think even more difficult to swallow for some teams, maybe his narrow base. Guys that have wingspans as small as his aren't typically taken that high in the draft. So, look, if you're taking Ashton Jeanty, even though they haven't needed tackle, don't be surprised if Vrabel wants to get a Derrick Henry type playmaker in that offense.
We all know the offensive lineman. You just mentioned Campbell there and some of the knocks on him going through the process. We know the couple of offensive linemen that are being talked about there in the top 5-6 picks of this draft. Who do you think is the best offensive line prospect in the draft?
I think that Armand Membu is probably going to be the top guy taken. I think Campbell could work his way. He could be a guy like Braden Smith who kind of overcomes all the, wingspan and arm length stuff to become a really good player. But I think Membu will be the top guy off the board. And there's no Joe Thomases in this draft. There's no elite guys. But I think Membu is a really, really excellent blocker, and he really gets after it. Wouldn't surprise me if the Jets take him. And certainly the Bears will take him at 10 if he's still on the board. So I think he's probably the top guy. With Campbell potentially, could potentially have just as good of a career.
All right, well, in your most recent mock, the 5-rounder that we're taking a look at today, you actually have Travis Hunter 2, obviously Cam Ward at 1, Travis Hunter 2, and you have Shedeur Sanders going to the Giants, leaving the Patriots Abdul Carter. As of today, what percentage likelihood do you think that Sanders goes among the top 4 picks?
It's getting less and less by the day. And it's too bad because it's going to be very interesting. I think the Giants have made some questionable decisions at that position, certainly since trading for Eli when he was drafted by San Diego back in the day, by those who remember. And so passing up on him might not be the best decision. But it's looking less and less like the Giants are going to take him, and they're going to, take their shot with the guys, the veterans they signed, and a guy a little bit later. So I'm guessing that's down to 30% or something like that at this point. Yeah, it's just over the last week, I just get more and more information that's kind of telling me it's not going to happen.
You had Maxwell Hairston, the Kentucky corner, as the Jags pick in the second round of this 5-round mock. I think it was Pete Prisco this morning mentioned him as he thinks he may be the best corner in this draft. As you look at the corner prospects in this draft, who do you have as your favorite among that group this year?
Jahdae Barron out of Texas is my favorite guy because he can play everywhere. He's got speed, very competitive. And I understand why Pete would say that about Hairston, though, because talk about competitive. I mean, he's 180 pounds, but, he gets after every receiver. And it would be very, I totally understand why he would say that. Really, maybe it's a little aggressive at times. Is not as big as some teams like, at the position. So he may not go first round, but he's really a talented player that will go up against anybody. So, I can see why Pete would say that, and I think he'd be a great fit, as a second-round pick for the Jags.
Man, you had a very target-rich environment for us, by the way, with the guys that were available, because I like to see who you have, and then I like to see who they could have pivoted to with, Kenneth Grant and Gray Zabel and a few of those guys available. That would make for an interesting decision. But give us some thoughts on who you projected to the Jags in round 3. You got a pair of offensive skill players. Jaden Higgins, the Iowa State wide receiver, who I've come to like a little bit more throughout the process of learning more about these players. And at number 88, Terrence Ferguson, the tight end out of Oregon. Tell us your thoughts on those two guys and how you think they would fit with what the Jags are trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I think Higgins is really interesting because, Iowa State had a guy named Hakeem Butler not long ago who a lot of people thought was going to go in the 3rd round. He went in round 4 because the tape wasn't as good as maybe his athleticism. Higgins has a little bit of that, but I think as a 3rd round pick, you combine the size and speed, and you just hope that he can really become that deep, not only a deep threat, but he can work the middle pretty well too, and he's pretty competitive for the ball. So I think in terms of a guy that's going to really be a nice compliment to Brian Thomas, let him maybe take some of the pressure off Thomas, deep, now that teams really can see what he's done and really be a good compliment to him on the other side of the field. And Ferguson actually would just eat up the middle, right? I mean, like with those two guys on the outside and Ferguson running the middle, Trevor Lawrence, it's time to shine when you've got that kind of group in front of you. So I just think helping their skill positions a little bit is going to help this team go to the next level.
We've heard about how deep the edge class is this year. In your mind, who are some of your favorite edge prospects that won't be hearing their names called until day 3 of the draft?
Yeah, I have the Jags taking Tyler Barron out of Miami in the 4th round. I think he was really good at Tennessee, and he was pretty good at Miami. He wasn't dominant by any stretch, but he showed enough flashes where in day 3, you can find yourself some pretty good guys. And that's true for a lot of edge rushers. Like the Ravens have made a living over the last decade taking guys out of round 4 that have stepped in for him. And there's going to be a ton of those guys again, this year. Braden Swinson, LSU is a really bendy guy who's going to be taking it then, on day 3. Josiah Stewart is barely over 6 foot tall, but a team is still going to take him probably in the 4th round because he's so active on the outside. He's so strong and good as a run defender as well. David Walker out of Central Arkansas is a guy that not maybe a lot of people know, but as a guy who can stand up at nearly 260 pounds on the outside, he's just a Raven. I don't even want to put him to anybody else but the Ravens, but he's really an outstanding guy. And Tyler Batty from BYU is another guy who could end up being like the Trey Hendrickson of this draft class that not a lot of people appreciate or talk about, but I think he's a really strong, two-way player on the outside.
Clay Webb is an interesting player that I feel like there's some value here. You have him projected to the Jags with their 2nd, 4th round pick. He's a guard out of Jacksonville State. What can you tell us about him and what you're hearing about how NFL teams feel about how he'll be able to adjust coming from a small school early in his career?
Well, so he started his career at Georgia and couldn't get on the field. So he transferred there just to be able to play a little bit more. And one of the things that's helped him through the process is when he was at Georgia, he probably played at 275, 280 pounds, more of a center. But he's grown into the 300 range, and he's been able to keep that on for the last year or so. So he's a really mobile guy, a guy that is sturdy inside but can give you some movement. He's a really interesting interior guy that's going to go 4th, 5th round, and you need to keep building on the inside in a class that isn't super deep at offensive line. If you can grab a guy like him in the 4th round, early 5th round, I think you need to do it.
How deep into the draft will a team be able to draft a safety that could start week 1 if needed?
The safety class is pretty average this year, which means there's going to be 4th and 5th round picks that end up stepping up because they're not the tallest guy. The guy, Billy Bowman, that I have the Jaguars taking is not the tallest. He's a 5'10" safety, and teams aren't necessarily going to love that. But a lot of guys stay in the league for a long time being that height because a guy like Bowman's very athletic, very instinctual, and you allow him to work the field. You can put him in the box. You can put him deep. Just a really solid guy. And he's not the only one. Andrew Makumba from Texas is going to be another early day 3 guy that's probably going to start. Jalen Reed from Penn State. There's a bunch of guys that'll be fighting for, if not, obviously on special teams as a rookie, maybe getting themselves into the lineup either as a rookie or, soon after.
All right, Chad, let's wrap it up with this one. And if this is the last visit we have with you before the draft, not saying it definitively will be, but we definitely appreciate the insight throughout the draft season. Our question of the day for our audience today: if these players were available with the 5th pick, which one would likely create the best trade back opportunity? In other words, who would be somebody would be willing to offer something to come up and get? Would it be Mason Graham? Would it be Ashton Genty? Would it be Shedeur Sanders? Or would it be either of the top linemen, Campbell or Membo?
I would say Genty. And I think because I think you would have the Bears, the 49ers,
Cowboys.
And, keep going down the list, right? Cowboys.
Yeah.
I think they would have the most interest, and they know he's not making it past the Raiders. So that would be my guess as the best trade possibility.
And you have Jackson Dart in your mock going 7th to the Jets. Yeah. Obviously, if Shedeur could you foresee a scenario where somebody likes Dart more than Sanders and actually pulls the trigger that way?
Yeah, that is possible, and the Jets would be the team to do it. I think you're going to want me on the Wednesday after the 7th-round mock draft. I'm just going to tell you that right now. So this better be not the last time.
All right. Well, when is the 7th-round mock is coming out a week from Friday?
2 weeks from Friday.
2 weeks from Friday will be the second round of the draft.
No, okay. So what? Oh, geez, wow.
Yeah, you better get working, buddy.
My God. a week from Friday.
A week from Friday. All right. So how about the following Monday? How's that sound?
That sounds good.
Monday of draft week.
Be texting me. Yes.
We'll lock it in. We will lock it in. All right. We're going to want to have Chad on. Chad's throwing a few spicy meatballs out there is what he's going to do.
That's right.
For that 7th-round mock. All right, brother. Well, you know what? This won't be our last visit then. We appreciate the conversation this morning. Encourage folks to head over to NFL.com and check out the 5-round mock before it becomes moot and replaced in 3 months by the 7th-round mock or whatever the schedule is for that thing to be due. All right, bro. Hey, Chad, we appreciate it, man. Keep up the great work, and we'll look forward to talking to you in about a week and a half.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Take care, man. Chad Ryder from NFL.com right there. All right. Well, you're going to want me on, Tony. Dylan, I hope I didn't step on your producing toes right there.
That makes my job easier.
I'm just trying to help out is what we're doing right there. You can find Chad Ryder over at NFL.com. And, of course, he's out there. What is his Twitter handle? Why don't I have that right?
Chad_Ryder.
There you go. And Ryder spelled R-E-U-T-E-R. Chad_Ryder. There it is right in front of me. All right. Good stuff. Let's sink our teeth into some of that conversation when we come back. Tony will also take you around the league. Next hour, we've got our weekly 7-round mock draft for the Jaguars to unveil. You're going to want us on after you hear that, okay? You're going to want to stick around for the end of the show as we discuss our own 7-round mock draft right there. Love it with Chad Ryder. From NFL.com. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.
You're at the home of the Jaguars in the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Door Studios. Superior products, exceptional service. Florida Gators.
Congratulations, Gators!
Saluting right over left. This is the flagship station of the Florida Gators. 1010XL.
Enhance your home with Renewal by Anderson's superior craftsmanship and timeless design. Right now, get $300 off all windows or $825 off patio doors. Plus, 0 down, no payments, and no interest for 18 months, but this offer expires April 30th. Renewal by Anderson, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation.
License number CGC 1527613.
Beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking by calling our heroes at Zero Res. This month, get Zero Resified from Jacksonville's #1 carpet cleaner. You'll get 25% off all cleaning services. That's right, 25% off. Check out 8,000 raving customer reviews if you don't believe me online. Call them, 904-287-5727, or visit their website, ZeroResJacksonville.com. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
At Hurricane Grill and Wings, every day feels like the weekend. Fresh, never frozen chicken wings, tossed in over 30 bold flavors, paired with ice-cold beer and handcrafted cocktails, all in a laid-back, beachy atmosphere. And with every game on the big screens, it's the ultimate escape, and you're home for sports, too. Great food, cold drinks, and all the games. That's Hurricane Grill and Wings. Escape the ordinary and find your spot at hurricanewings.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. Charles.
6.
Oh, so close. Betty for the steal.
What about the bank that helps you reach your financial goals? Synovus.
Let's see, judges. Yes, looks like we have a winner.
That's a number
Sorry, Charlie. Remember, a solid financial future doesn't happen by chance. Talk with Synovus about your potential today. Brought to you by Synovus Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. The number was 4.
Awaken 180 weight loss.
Jaguars Today, Wednesday.
Mark Watson here to tell you a little bit about hardballcreative.com. It's your online promo haven with thousands of ideas on how to promote your company. We're open 24/7, 365.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about not being afraid of the crosses of life. Life can be difficult. Maybe today you're carrying a cross of worry or stress. Let me encourage you to remember that when Christ got on the big cross at Golgotha, he destroyed all the little crosses that we face in our life. He set us free from fear, worry, and anxiety. Our job is not to be carried by the cross, but to be carried by our faith.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
David here with Royal Pest Services. Man, don't let your yard be torn up by that heavy aeration machine this spring. Visit RoyalPestServices.com to learn more about our granular aeration. Broadcast throughout the tree and shrubs to break up that compacted soil. Visit RoyalPestServices.com.
Bueller.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey man, what's that noise?
Do you hear it too? You can hear it, right?
Yeah, it's your air conditioner. It's like a grinding or a rattling.
And it's getting on your nerves, right? Like it's eating at your brain and you can't think straight? But it just keeps grinding and squeaking and taunting and nagging. You're not good enough. You're a failure. Why can't you be more like your sister, the lawyer?
Yeah, I don't hear that last part so much.
Yeah, but it's not cool, right, Jason?
It could definitely be cooler. At Bueller Air and Plumbing, we can totally repair whatever that noise is and get your AC working smoothly and silently. We fix these things all the time.
So I won't be a failure?
Life should be enjoyed. If some irritating, broken air conditioner is making you crazy, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Keeping kids active is a full-time job for parents. Look no further, though, than I-9 Sports, covering Duval, St. John's, and Clay to get your youngster in the game. Spring and summer registration open right now for flag football, soccer, t-ball, and basketball. Plus, all new girls volleyball at Duval Charter Bay Meadows. I-9 Sports with fields and gyms all over 3 counties. And the best thing is I-9 Sports offers sports year-round so kids can always find a sport to play. i9sports.com. Enter 1010 in the promo code.
Pickett here with my concierge doctor, Richard Townsend. Doc T, how does a concierge direct primary care operate?
We are a membership-based primary care made directly between a patient and physician. We'll have a limited amount of patients that allows us to give unlimited access and personal service to you. This individualized approach has been shown to lower hospitalizations as well as maintain healthier lives. We also give 24/7 access via phone to me outside of our scheduled office hours.
To learn more, go to mypvconcierge.com.
St. Johns County parents, does your kid have energy to burn? Want them to play a sport for their middle school? Sign up today for the St. John's Middle School Athletic Association. Tackle football, dance, and cheerleading. Who doesn't want their kid to be the next NFL quarterback or dance floor diva? You know how fast your kid can go from playing Xbox to practicing their touchdown dance or sideline cheer? Visit sjmsaa.org. sjmsaa.org.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL local sports update brought to you by Kuhn Flowers. The Florida Gators baseball team secured a 5-4 victory over the 9th-ranked FSU Seminoles last night at the Condren Family Ballpark, clinching the season series 2-1. Florida's pivotal moment came on a 3-run homer, bringing the score to 5-2. Head coach Kevin O'Sullivan postgame on how important this win is for them.
But it was an important win for us because we talked about it before the game. Number one, it gives us a chance, an opportunity to win a series against one of our rivals. And hopefully this game gets us jump-started. Something has to get going for us. And, I think it's good that we're getting back out there on Thursday. It's a quick turnaround. And hopefully this will give us some momentum, At least you hope.
The Gators have a quick turnaround hosting Missouri in a 3-game series starting tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Hear the game live on 1010 a.m. It's 70 degrees at 11:02. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Yes, sir. Now we are educating the youthful masses to the ways of 1980s music right here. The Fix, Tony Smith. Reach the beach.
What?
Dylan's like, who sings it? Huh? Like, Dylan, give me one thing leads to another. Who sings it? Where'd you pull this? YouTube?
Yes, sir.
Everything's on YouTube, right?
Everything.
We probably own some rights fee now, but
Yeah, whatever. We just won't be on YouTube for about a couple hours.
That's on Denmark. That's true. Well, it is. We're live on YouTube right now.
Yeah, but there's
We'll
copyright
post
issues when we
until
play
later.
music where even like I'll play music in the system and then like hours I'll say this is a copyright issue. This has to be taken down. It's like, well, that's unfortunate.
Is that right?
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, I was not a good program director, Tone. Tony knows this, but for those who don't know, I used to be a program director of a radio station here in town, and I was not very good with all the musical rights stuff. You know what I did with that? I had a drawer for those things, Dylan.
You burn it?
I had a drawer. I didn't burn. I just went in the drawer, like, that'll get dealt with somewhere down the line, and maybe I'll leave this job before it all catches up to me. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was one of those situations. All right, I've skated by in life. What can I tell you? All right, what are we doing here, Tone? Before we dig into a few things Chad Ryder had to say, why don't we take your Tony Smith view of the National Football League?
Now, gems around the NFL. Brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
Michigan cornerback Will Johnson is completely recovered from a hamstring injury and will be working out for teams on Michigan's campus on Monday next week. Indianapolis will be hosting Tennessee edge rusher James Pierce Jr. for a visit this week. Pierce is also visiting with Arizona and Cincinnati. Houston hosted Ohio State running back Quinshon Jenkins for a visit on Monday. Cleveland brought in Georgia linebacker Jalen Walker for a visit yesterday, and the New York Giants are bringing in Abdul Carter for a second visit tomorrow.
Who brought in Cleveland? Brought in Walker?
Yes.
What's that all about? Trade back?
I don't know. I listed that one specifically. I don't go through all the meetings, but that one specifically because it was Walker.
That's odd,
and it was
right?
Cleveland, yeah.
I mean, if they want an edge rusher, obviously they could take Abdul Carter right there at 2. There is a lot of talk, and this actually kind of makes some sense to me, right? If you're Cleveland, you want a brand new start, you want some juice for your organization. You've had the blight of Deshaun Watson hanging over your franchise for the last few years, and so you take Travis Hunter at 2. What are you willing to package up together to move back into the first round and get Shedeur Sanders if he gets, let's say, past the Saints at 9, right? And starts to fall into a range where there are teams that are not, rich with quarterback need at that point. Do you have to get ahead of Pittsburgh maybe? And are you willing to do that? And then all of a sudden, like, okay, we got Travis Hunter and we also got the guy who's thrown in the ball for the last few years.
Yeah.
Right? And we reboot our entire organization that way. I'm not saying it's the smartest way to do it, but man, I think it would get people in Cleveland enthused, and I don't know if they have any problem selling tickets. It's a pretty rabid fan base, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying you should draft strictly to sell tickets, but as a byproduct of what they might do, I think that's interesting. Chad Ryder, who spoke with NFL.com, even though he put Shedeur Sanders in his mock at 3 to the Giants, feels like in a 7-round mock that will not be the case. Said, and he did have the Jets taking Jackson Dart at 7, and he thinks that's the team to watch out for in terms of possibly taking Dart. Well, if that's the case, if they really like Dart that much or kind of on even footing, then even if Shedeur gets to pick 5, what's the Jets' impetus to jump up a couple of spots? All right, so what if the Raiders do take Shedeur and we take Jackson Dart and we don't have to pay you for the privilege of doing that? So maybe it's, that's, if in fact that is gospel, or maybe it's New Orleans, who's the most likely team that would come up to get Shedeur Sanders in that scenario. Might as well get to today's Chad and Sandy real estate question today, because we're beating all around it right now in terms of trade-up opportunities. Which of these players would create the best trade-back opportunity for the Jaguars? In other words, someone else trading up to 5 if they're available with the 5th pick of the 2025 NFL Draft. Mason Graham, Ashton Genty, Shedeur Sanders, or one of the top offensive linemen, Dylan Denmark.
10-10
Take.
Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 Take is serviced by Ideal Conditions Heating and Air, your go-to local HVAC company, veteran-owned and operated.
I think you have to look at these individually, kind of starting from the least likely. And for me, the least likely is Mason Graham. That would draw
me too.
Somebody coming up, right? Because it is such a rich defensive tackle draft. Is Mason Graham that much head and shoulders above the rest? And as, you know, Chad Ryder said, don't pigeonhole him as one that he can play. And if he does have that versatility and a team feels like, hey, I can use him anywhere on the interior of the defensive line, I think that does add to his positional value to him.
Mm-hmm.
But I find a hard time.
I think that's why he's talked about the way that he is.
Maybe so.
Right, and we just haven't talked about it as much because we've been so locked in on him being
the three technique,
yeah,
at providing some pass rush help. Here.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But because I do remember reading about that kind of thing with Mason Graham, where he's not just one thing along the defensive. I can remember reading. I think it may have been a Bleacher Report, but I can't remember exactly where. But very much in line with what Ryder had to say.
Well, look, you could, like, playing hypotheticals here, you can envision a scenario. Jags draft Mason Graham, and here you go on 3rd and long. You got Josh Hines down at right defensive end. You've got Mason Graham basically playing as your nose tackle, and you got Trayvon Walker playing as your 3 technique, and you've got insert pass rusher to be drafted as your 3rd down rush specialist. That's a seemingly pretty good setup if you nail the pick on a mid-round guy there. That could be interesting. All right, so Mason Graham, I think, is probably the least likely. I think the offensive line is more likely if only one of them is left, right? If it's now, and maybe teams will have a strong preference. Chad Ryder said he thinks Membo is the favorite to go first among the offensive linemen right now. So we gave you your choice, Campbell or Membo. If Membo goes 4th, the teams go, I better get Will Campbell if I want a starting offensive tackle that I can feel good about, or do they wait on Kelvin Banks or somebody else? Hard to know.
Hard to know.
So I think it does come down to Shedeur Sanders and Ashton Jeanty. And I'm kind of inclined to agree with Chad Ryder here that it may be Jeanty. Maybe that's because of the momentum that we're seeing in some of these mocks and some of these open conversations. Could the Jags be in play? But I think outside of Cam Ward going number 1 to Tennessee, if you're filling out a mock draft right now, the most confident pick you pencil in is Ashton Jeanty to the Raiders at 6. I don't know anybody who thinks he's getting past the Raiders there. Now, I've seen an occasional mock, so I guess, people do mix it up where he is available and the Raiders opt to go maybe Tet McMillan or some other direction. But this is a guy you can put the ball in his hands 300-plus times. You know where you've got to get to if you want to beat out the Las Vegas Raiders. In fact, Pete Prisco had that in his mock today with the Bears coming up from 10 to get Jeanty. So I feel like if it's true that the Jets are interested in Jackson Dart perhaps as much as Shedeur Sanders, if he gets past some quarterback-needy teams, I'd love the idea of the Saints giving the Jags an offer to come up, but I think I'm going to vote for Jeanty in this one. Where are you at?
I think I would too, especially after the conversation there with Ryder about New England being in play for Jeanty as well, like that. And it does make sense. No one really feels like he's going to get past 6, right? And if Jacksonville's in play for him at 5 and New England's in play for him at 4, right? So if New England,
potentially,
right, if New England goes a different direction with it and now it's 5, you have to get to 5. If you're going to get Jeanty, because he's off the board. You almost assume he's off the board at 6 from a draft perspective, right? If you're another team that really prioritizes the guy, I think you have to look at it and say, we got to go now. Well, the Raiders aren't a threat to taking Sanders, and the Jaguars aren't a threat.
Are they not, though? I wonder, though.
I think they're not really. I'm not saying that they're not, but I don't consider them. If I was a team that wanted Sanders, I wouldn't be nervous about the Raiders.
All right.
Like, that's just the way that I would perceive it. I wouldn't be all that nervous about it. I think because of where it feels like Jeanty's going right now, there's a wider prospect, a range of outcomes for Sanders than there is for Jeanty at this point in the draft process. So I do think from a specifically Jaguars perspective, it's Jeanty is the answer for me.
Okay.
And it's in part because Sanders would have already gotten past the Giants, right?
Yes, and the Browns.
Right, like that kind of thing. So I have very loose ideas of where Sanders is going to land if he doesn't go to the New York Giants. Like, there are 7 different places in my mind where he could wind up.
Are the Saints not the betting favorite now for Shedeur? I think they are.
They might be.
At 9.
They make sense. They make all kinds of sense. I don't know how nervous they would be about having to go and get it done, though. Like, they just don't. I feel like there's more urgency with Genty than there is with Sanders. I could be wrong, but that's the way that it feels to me.
I hear you. I do think if we go back to the thought process during the season, it's like, man, if there's no way Sanders makes it past the Raiders.
Yeah.
Right? And then when Pete Carroll went there and they brought in Geno Smith, which is a deal that while it's an extension, it's not one that prohibits you. I mean, we saw it last year. Kirk Cousins signs in Atlanta, and they draft Michael Penix Jr. So could all this Genty talk be somewhat of a smokescreen, potentially? Here's one that Dylan just sent me. What is it? This is the Rhett Lewis mock that we're looking at yesterday, right? Where he had the Raiders trading up to get Travis Hunter. And then Genty going to the Browns at 6. Could that happen? Look, anything could happen in terms of which team goes up there. And if that did happen, then I think there's, maybe you'd feel like, I got to get ahead of the Browns now. Yeah. But there'd be some more uncertainty about where Genty's going to come off the board if the Raiders jumped up for Hunter.
We had the conversation yesterday about the top couple of prospects in this draft. They're all kind of in one bucket. Right, as far as the grade on these players, I think Genty, the only reason he would be in that bucket is because he plays running back. Right, the actual grade on the player is right there with Carter and Hunter. Like he's
maybe higher.
Right, he's considered that kind of prospect. The only thing that knocks him is running back. So I do think in a draft where everyone's kind of in the same barrel, once you get past the front couple, I think there's a real possibility that there are multiple teams that look at Genty and say he's not in that barrel. Right, like he is outside of that kind of play.
Above that.
Right, like he's in with these other guys. They consider a 3-man class, whatever it happens to be. I think the odds of that being true for him, the Sanders thing comes in because he's a quarterback, so that throws everything off, right? But I do think Genty as a prospect is that kind of prospect. And so I do think if a team wants him, they know they got to come up to 4, 5, 6 to get him. They know.
Well, in that Rhett Lewis mock, some of the interesting picks he had Cam Ward going to Tennessee. He had the Raiders moving up for Travis Hunter to 2. Abdul Carter went to the Giants. Genty went 6 to the Browns in that. Shedeur did go to the Saints at 9. Mm-hmm. Jackson Dart went 21st to Pittsburgh. And then all the way down at 31 was Tet McMillan. How about that? Man, by the way, Prisco had the Jags selecting Tet at 10 after the Bears moved up to take Genty in his mock. It's all mocks, and they'll all be, in the ether in a couple of weeks. But until then.
And everyone has to do so many of them that they were very obviously wrong, even when they were right with whatever they did with their mock drafts. Like, there's too much out there for everyone not to be right and wrong.
Well, look, Josh Edwards, we had on a couple weeks ago, and he had mocked Jalen Walker to the Jags at 5. And then in his latest mock, he went back to Mason Graham. He's like, I had him in there the whole way. I mixed it up last time.
Yeah.
This is where, I think it's more likely to end up.
Sure.
All right. 7th-round mock. See if you can whip one up there, Tone, and we'll break it down. Coming up next to here on Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. 904 means Jacksonville. 1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
Hello, Jacksonville. This is John Johnson with First Coast Recycling. We buy junk cars. If you have a car or a truck that you're looking to get rid of, then look no further. If you absolutely, positively have to get that car out of there, accept no substitutes. Fast cash is at your fingertips. Just call First Coast Recycling at 904-294-1659 today for a quick and easy quote. Come on, let's take your driveway back.
With 50 years of fabrication expertise and towing products, the family at Cannons of Jacksonville can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Okay, sports fans, Hicken here. Let's talk skin. I and Beaches Dermatology are reminding you all to wear your sunscreen. Spring is here, and that means more time outside. Grabbing the clubs for your tea time? Bring the screen. Heading out on the boat? Bring the screen. Headed to the beach? Definitely bring the sunscreen. All in all, make sure sunscreen is included in your outdoor activities. If you have any concerns now, give Beaches Dermatology a call. I've been seeing them for years, and my skin thanks me for it. Call today online at beachesdermatology.com.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday on Jaguars Today. Awaken 180 Weight Loss, your long-term solution for weight loss.
Your yard starting to look a little like a jungle? Well, it might be time for a little TLC. Or how about RTC, Russell Tree Care? At Russell Tree Care, they give your trees the perfect haircut. Whether it's trimming or removing, they'll make sure your yard looks its best, all while keeping safety as a top priority. Call Russell Tree Care today and let them take care of your trees. Russell Tree Care, 844-4Mr. Wood. That's 844-467-9663. Or visit RussellTreeCareLLC.com today. Your trees will thank you.
Hacker here, and guess what my scale reads? 195 pounds. I'm shocked seeing that number, but it's there every month. The weight is staying off after dropping 122 pounds. Absolutely life-changing. Awaken180weightloss.com.
If the green jacket fits,
Scheffler outshines them all at Augusta.
listen for 1010XL Masters updates covered by TopDressing.com and St. John's Middle School Athletic Association.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg, the president of Underwoods. Clayton, I know you're the head diamond buyer at Underwoods, and you travel to the markets to buy diamonds. Why don't you just look at an emailed list and have them send you the diamond?
Frank, there are a couple of reasons we go straight to the source when we're selecting the diamonds we want to put the Underwood name on. First, as an expert diamond buyer, I have to see a diamond before I can really judge its beauty versus the price it's being offered at. Second, when we're at the source, we have huge selections to choose our diamonds from, so we don't have to compromise the Underwood quality standard. The result is we control what goes into our diamond stock instead of allowing a diamond dealer to send us what he wants us to have. The bottom line is we're able to offer our customers carefully selected, beautiful diamonds that we're proud to have carry the Underwood name.
Underwoods, serving excellence since 1928 in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Out with the old, in with the organized. Mia here for my friends at Closets by Design. Freshen up your home this spring with a custom organization solution. For a limited time, take advantage of our spring special and enjoy exclusive savings on closets, garages, home offices, and more. That's 40% off with an additional 50% off with 12-month special financing through April. Spring on this deal before it's gone. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation with Closets by Design.
Joe C. for Florida Home AC, and now's the time to tune up that heating and AC unit. Take advantage of their $69 seasonal tune-up special. Keep warm in the winter and cool in the summer with Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars.
This is Greg Huntington, a.k.a. The Mangler. I'm on the winning team at Waste Management. WM is the largest sustainability company in North America. If your business needs sustainable environmental services for waste removal and recycling collection, then you can count on the industry leader of WM to deliver results. Your services will be completed in a timely, safe, and eco-friendly manner. Go to WM.com/Duval. That's WM.com/Duval and get signed up today. If anyone can talk trash, it's the Mangler.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
At the First Coast YMCA, you'll find much more than just a gym. We offer many ways to help you become more active, reach your weight loss goals, and find your inner strength. Membership at the Y includes state-of-the-art facilities, a huge variety of fitness classes, and programs for all ages. It's easy to join the Y since it's affordable for all incomes. The Y is a great place to make connections and experience something new. Visit the YMCA near you or online at fcymca.org.
1010 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Any team that picks Ashton Jeanty, I can't blame him. The guy's that good. And so, I'm not going to sit there and say it's a bad pick if anybody takes it. But, like I said, he may not even be there. That's the way it's kind of looking right now.
Wow.
And it's going to be really interesting. 4, 5, 6. He's not making it past the Raiders. That much I know. Pete Carroll would love to have that guy.
Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
I've seen the Cleveland Browns mocked at 2 taking Ashton Jeanty, and I just kind of dismissed those mocks. I don't think they would take him over Travis Hunter and or Abdul Carter necessarily. But like we talk about, he is that guy that if you just put a pure grade on him, it's going to be probably as high as anybody. Yep. And so now Chad Ryder introduces the concept of maybe he's not even there for the Jags to use as a trade chip at 5 if he goes 4 to New England, which if Hunter and Carter are off the board, it's the same kind of dilemma here. How do you fix the Jags running game or help the Jags running game for Trevor Lawrence, Tony? Do you add a great offensive lineman or a really good one, or do you add a great running back?
Yeah, I do love the synergy of Jeanty, like LaDainian Tomlinson being the 5th overall pick in the draft.
That is nice as well.
Yeah.
There's no doubt we could find some running backs who went 5th overall that stunk, though. Where did Cedric Benson go?
Yeah. But not a whole lot of those guys were probably compared directly to LaDainian Tomlinson.
Probably not. I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to be fair on this whole situation. All right, none of us made a trade this week.
Correct.
In the mock. I think that's the more realistic outcome. Dylan tried. He called everybody. Everyone hung up the phone. They said, Balky Jr.
They said, you suck.
Not dealing with you. All right. So, Tone, who'd you take at 5?
At 1-5, I took offensive tackle Armand Membo out of Missouri. Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Will Campbell went 1-4.
Okay, so you got the other of the highly regarded offensive linemen. Dylan Denmark, what'd you do at 5?
That is exactly how my draft went. Top 4, and I went Membo at 5.
Mine, I think, had Campbell at 4. I took Mason Graham at 5, just to bore myself, to put myself to sleep on. Again, Mason Graham may come here and be one of the greatest Jaguars of all time, and I will root for him to be that if, in fact, he is the selection. It's just, I'm
cool with doing the Membo thing in the draft, and I might even be leaning towards offense something there for the Jags at 5, but I would not be bored by Graham being the pick at 5. I can understand feeling that way.
It's just because you see it every time. All right, so you took Membo. Fill us in with your other 9 selections.
At 36, I took defensive tackle Tyleik Williams. Kenneth Grant was still there, but I was like, he's not going to be here. I'm not doing it. Right?
Okay, so you wanted to make it more realistic feeling.
Tyleik Williams out of Ohio State, the big one technique. So a nose tackle there to go in the second round. At 70 in the third round, wide receiver Jack Besh out of TCU. That's a name that I've been circling now for several weeks. Then at 88, edge rusher Kyle Kennard out of South Carolina. In the fourth round at 107, linebacker Demetrius Knight Jr. at South Carolina, back-to-back out of Carolina. Then another player in the state of Carolina at 126, safety R.J. Mickens out of Clemson, son of Ray Mickens, who played a decade in the National Football League. Then in the fifth round at 142, running back R.J. Harvey out of Central Florida. In the sixth round at 182, center Jake Majors out of Texas. Then at 194, quarterback Kyle McCord out of Syracuse. Then in the seventh round, edge rusher Johnny Walker out of Missouri. Stood out at the East-West Shrine game. Had a couple sacks in that game, but was not a combine invite.
And an endorsement deal waiting to happen on top of that as well. So I don't think McCord will be there in the sixth.
I doubt it.
Right? But I'm not. That's nitpicking. Nitpicking. Now, you did not take Dylan Sampson this week. Dylan Denmark, who did you select?
Membo first, the fifth pick. 36 went Kenneth Grant, D tackle. He was there. I was like, whatever.
Dylan's like, I don't care. I'll take him.
He's mine now. 70 went with center from Georgia, Jared Wilson.
Yeah, boy.
So 3 big guys, first 3 rounds. 88, the corner from LSU, Zy Alexander. 107, Ty Felton, the wide receiver from Maryland. The back-to-back receivers. Then I go receiver from Tennessee, Dante Thornton. So I go 2 deep threats. Pick 107, 126. 142 and Savion Jones, the edge from LSU. 182, Clay Webb, the guard from Jacksonville State. 194, running back from USC, Joquavius Marks. And 221 went with a safety from Wisconsin, Hunter Waller. Love that last name.
Wisconsin.
Waller.
Wisconsin. All right. I told you I went Mason Graham. And, I don't ever do this, but I took Mason Graham. I took Xavier Watts, safety out of Notre Dame. I feel like there are a handful of safeties that can come in. I'm going to feel confident, could potentially start on day one. So, all right, let's go that direction. Dylan Denmark and I sharing a brain cell on Jared Wilson. He is my favorite third round-ish target in this entire draft. I think it's quite possible he's way off the board by then.
I'm almost to a point with the mock drafts where I consider him at 36. I'm like, if I'm getting him, I'm getting me here.
Okay.
Right? That's kind of where I have it in my mind. It's the Gray Zabel thing from a month and a half ago. I'm not taking him at 36 anymore. He's not going to be there at 36. So the Wilsons, I love him. And if he's there in the third round, easy.
Hey, Chad Ryder had Gray Zabel available and Kenneth Grant.
Sure.
At 36. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
So I went Jared Wilson like Dylan did. I went Ashton Gillette. I had the choice between Gillette and Kyle Kennard, who I often take with the 88 pick in the draft. I went at 107, cornerback Kobe Bryant out of Kansas. Dylan Sampson at 126, the Tennessee running back. I went with, this first time I'd taken Illinois wide receiver Pat Bryant with pick 142, more of a possession type to kind of balance out what you've got in Brian Thomas Jr. Went with the aforementioned Clay Webb as well. So Dylan and I have two picks exactly on the mark. That's at 182. I went with Florida defensive tackle Cam Jackson at pick 194. And then, again, I don't think this is the type of tight end that they're going for, but it's at pick 221. It's the seventh round. Give me Luke Lachey out of Iowa. They've got to be able to, for a seventh round investment, there's got to be some value in taking a guy who doesn't fit the classic two-way tight end mold that they seem to be going for here.
Sure.
So, man, it didn't really, didn't take a skill position until pick 126. Did okay, I thought, as far as that went. I mean, I wouldn't hate it, absolutely. But again, Tone, imagine if you took out picks 88 and 126 out of your draft, right? Who are picks 88 and 126 out of your draft?
Kennard and Mickens.
So your edge rusher and Mickens is safety. So you take those two guys out. I would lose Ashton Gillette and Dylan Sampson. These are the bonus picks that Trent Baalke left us as a parting gift, right? I mean, some people leave a parting gift, and they don't flush it. In this case, we got a nice parting gift. From Trent Baalke with the extra selections on top of Brian Thomas Jr. from last year. So, all right, 7-round mocks in the books. Let's come back. Let's take a look at today's poll question presented by Chad and Sandy Real Estate and a few 7-round mocks that were submitted to us today as well. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark wrapping things up straight ahead on Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. The Thompson family started the Dandy Company nearly 70 years ago. 7 decades of excellence as a First Coast family, a First Coast company. The Dandy line, the Anytime Deli line, it's all under the same umbrella. You head to a gate station, you fill up your tank, you go inside, enjoy a little AC, and head right to the fresh case and fill up your belly with wonderful selections from Dandy. I've been partial to their tuna salad. I've been a customer of theirs for about 30 years now, quite frankly. Way back into my college days, I've been eating Dandy sandwiches, and they never disappoint because they always use the highest quality ingredients. They always tweak their recipes to make sure they're fitting the widest variety of tastes. They got something for any time of day. Easy pick-me-up on the go. You want something more substantial, they got a full line of food. When you're hungry in Duval, Dandy is the local name that you should know and support. So go out and make yours a Dandy and do it today.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios.
You down with JAG?
Yeah, you know me.
You down with JAG?
Yeah, you know me.
You down with JAG?
Yeah, you know me.
Who's down with JAG?
The Bold City.
1010XL, proud flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Are you ready to reclaim your backyard? Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, Surfside Pools is the trusted name for expert pool design. Family owned and operated, they offer pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools transform your backyard into the oasis that you crave. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, where luxury meets leisure.
License number CPC 044080.
Leon Cersei here. Let's be real. I used to eat like a lineman because I was one. And man, those habits are hard to break. I needed help to stop with the munchies and lose weight. But now, I'm bringing sexy back. I call Physician Guided Weight Loss. Their medical team is helping me shed pounds safely with a custom plan to help me slim down. And their firm pricing means same price every month. Hey, you want to bring sexy back? Visit Physician Guided Weight Loss at pgweightloss.com.
A lot goes into taking care of your property. You need equipment with more reliability and versatility built in, like Kubota BX and L Series compact tractors to get the job done right, Z Series mowers that deliver a quality cut, and Sidekick utility vehicles where durability meets speed. Visit Coastal Equipment for a demo today.
Greater power for the great outdoors. Coastal Equipment.
Coastal Equipment on New Kings Road and in the clinic.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday
On Jaguars Today.
Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
The Jacksonville Icemen have punched their ticket to the Kelly Cup playoffs in April. But first, the Icemen have an action-packed weekend with the Savannah Ghost Pirates. Friday and Saturday night at 7. Then it's the Orlando Solar Bears. Sunday at 3. All games at 5-Star Veterans Memorial Arena. Tickets at Ticketmaster, JacksIcemen.com, or call 904-602-PUCK. Iceman Hockey is #Frozen Frenzy.
Plumbing problem? AC not blowing cool? Septic tank backing up? No need to call 3 different companies. Just call Duck Duck Rooter. At Duck Duck Rooter, we do it all. Plumbing, septic, and air conditioning with expert technicians in each department. One company, one call, one easy bill. No hassle, no runaround, just fast professional service from highly skilled techs who know their stuff. Need help? Call 904-862-6769 today and let Duck Duck Rooter handle it all. DuckDuckRooter.com.
Good teachers and coaches get the most out of their scholar athletes. That's why 1010XL salutes the Scholar Athlete of the Week.
Brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
And the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local Union 234.
Wednesdays on The Franchi Show.
Been in a car crash? I'm local attorney Rick Alexander, and I've made it our mission at the Alexander Law Practice to listen to you so I can fight for the best possible result for you. I've been practicing over 30 years, and our team focuses on guiding you through the entire process. And because fees and reimbursement costs come out at the end of the case, I will never ask you to come out of pocket. For a free review, call 904-400-6600 or log on to alexanderlawpractice.com, Jacksonville.
Your tax refund is here. Why not invest in your home? Superior Fence and Rail helps you build value with beautiful, durable fences that boost your home security, privacy, and curb appeal. With expert installation and financing options, turning your yard into an outdoor oasis is easier than ever. Reinvest in your home today with Superior Fence and Rail.
When you're on the fence, about the fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
How many Grand Slam home runs did Yankee slugger Don Mattingly hit in his career?
Filing an insurance claim following a storm shouldn't be an ordeal. Southern Oak Insurance's claim team prepares for catastrophic situations well in advance. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
New York Yankees Don Mattingly hit 6 Grand Slams in 1987, but none throughout the rest of his 15-year career.
Southern Oak Insurance.
Hi, I'm Jeff Breyer, president of Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring.
And I'm Zach Breyer. When my dad started in business in 1990, I wasn't even born yet.
That's true. And after 35 years and nearly 20,000 satisfied customers, we literally have a showroom in every neighborhood.
So whether you need more outdoor living space with a glass or screen enclosure, or you're looking to transform your home with new flooring, we've got you covered.
Visit our websites, or better yet, do yourself a favor and stop by one of our showrooms on Phillips Highway to experience the Lifetime difference and receive 20% off your purchase.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the Cool Down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
All right, the pipeline tells me there are going to be some Jaguar media availability today, Tony, as voluntary off-season workouts began yesterday for the Jaguars, that Liam Cohen, Trevor Lawrence, Foye Oluokun are going to speak today, which is great. That, I mean, you can look at them by making those guys available, saying, hey, these are two guys who are obviously Trevor is the leader of the football team amongst the roster, and
right.
Foye you can look at as one of the top, if not the leader of the defense as well. But I believe we're going to endeavor to carry some of that live around 1 o'clock today during Helmets and Heels. So Jaguar fans should be listening for that. For sure. Let me see what else I had on here, Tone, that I wanted to get to. I remember I mentioned Cedric Benson. I said, who went fifth as a running back? Somebody mentioned Curtis Enos. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And that was the draft we got Fred Taylor in, right?
Yep.
Curtis Enos. The rumor was Coughlin was enamored with Curtis Enos, and they may have forced our hand. Oh, I'm glad they did. But I was wrong on Benson. Benson went fourth. How about this, Dylan Denmark?
What you got?
You're a youngster, so you don't remember these crazy days. This was 2005, okay? Your first 5 selections in the draft. Alex Smith goes number 1.
Yep, San Fran.
All right. Running back Ronnie Brown goes to Miami at 2.
From Auburn.
Braylon Edwards goes to Cleveland at 3.
Is he a receiver?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Running back Cedric Benson goes 4. Running back Cadillac Williams goes 5.
Wow.
3 of the top 5 are running backs. The other 2 are offensive skill players. Pac-Man Jones goes at 6. And then one day, future Jaguar Troy Williamson went at 7. This is the year the Jaguars drafted Matt Jones ahead of the likes of actual receivers Mark Clayton and Roddy White in the first round. I was on board with it, like, can I tell you? And, of course, 3 picks after the Jags selected Matt Jones, there goes Aaron Rodgers off the board. I mean, we couldn't have used him at any point in the past, right? So I get it. You know, you think you got your quarterback, and I guess that's, Tony, a case in point of even if, and especially that position is so important, but even if you got a good one, if you feel like the guy that you could get is going to be a great one potentially, is it worth saying, the hell with our draft board, the hell with our needs? This position is just that much important. It's difficult when you've committed to a guy, though, you know, especially a young guy, to immediately say, oh, well, here's a target of opportunity right here.
Yeah.
Have your fan base breathing down your neck about taking the same position you've already got covered. But I think it would have worked out okay.
There was 4 straight years where a running back was picked at number 5.
Is that right? Who were they?
01 was LT.
Okay, yeah. Tony mentioned him.
2000 was Jamal Lewis.
Okay.
99 was Ricky Williams.
Okay.
98 was Curtis Enos.
Wow. And Curtis Enos got hurt, didn't he?
Yeah.
Curtis Enos got hurt. Ricky Williams smoked half of his career away. He was still a really good player.
Good player, yeah.
You look at the totals that he had. Remember the story about that one, Dylan, on Ricky Williams?
About
what they gave up to get him?
Yeah, the whole draft.
The whole draft.
Yep.
Here's the whole draft.
And then Mike Ditka wore dreads the following week.
Mike Ditka wore dreads, but they also had like a SI cover with like Ricky Williams in a wedding dress. Like the two of them are now married to each other. Their careers are married. Of course, Edgerrin James went, I believe, 1 pick before Ricky Williams there in that draft when a lot of people thought, oh, Ricky Williams. I think he set the all-time Division I rushing record in his career at Texas, and then he went second, and Edgerrin James turned out to be as good a modern back in that era as you could find.
Yeah, going back and looking at that draft, by the way, in 1999, Edge did go 1 spot ahead of Ricky Williams. The first 3 picks that year, Tim Couch to Cleveland, Donovan McNabb to Philadelphia, then Achilles Smith, to Cincinnati. And
didn't you have a 4th quarterback somewhere really high in that draft, or am I wrong about that?
The next quarterback, Dante Culpepper at 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't Edge have a game, I want to say, in his last year at Miami where a hurricane delayed one of their games? I want to say they played UCLA, and a hurricane, they were supposed to play early in the year. I could be wrong about this. Hurricane wiped out the game early in the year. They did the makeup game. They rescheduled it for late in the season. And Edge, this might have been the first time I sat down and watched one of his full games. He went for like 200 whatever, and he looked unbelievable. And next thing you know, he's going higher than Ricky Williams in the draft. As far as that went, that worked out pretty well. I would love this. This one submitted by JagFan15. A lot of trading back. Yeah, I see that. My man ended up, holy smokes. He moved back to 23. He also moved back to 39, I guess, from 36. Ended up with adding picks 54, 55, and 57 in the draft.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're in fantasy land here, but would I take Jalen Walker at 23, Kenneth Grant at 39, Trey Amos at 54, Andrew Makuba? And we talked about that with Ryder. He's a smaller safety, too. I know the Jags have expressed some interest, or they met with him. Jalen Royals, wide receiver out of Utah State. Jared Wilson at 78. Ashton Gillette at 83. I mean, yeah, and he comes away with an extra second, third, and a pair of fourths next year on top of all this. Yes, that would win all the mock drafts.
Yeah, I saw someone on the text line that was, I just started a mock, and at number 5, these 3 guys are still available. Hunter, Graham, and Genty, who do you take? And I responded to him, I just restart every mock draft I have that has Hunter still available to me.
Yeah, at this point.
To answer your question.
Or Carter.
Yeah.
Either one.
Yeah, it's like, I would take either one of them. Yeah.
Right. I don't care. As long as Cam Ward, Hunter, and Carter go, I don't care who the fourth guy is.
No.
I don't care what order they went in. I feel like that's fair and representative of what might happen and be available at the 5th pick. This one here from Ed, who's a pretty reliable mock drafter with us. I don't believe he made any trades here. He went Travis Hunter at 5. All right. I mean, we'd sign up for it. Kenneth Grant, the Michigan defensive tackle, at 36. I mean, talk about a guy who's all over the place, Tone, right? Like, you see still him going in the second round in a lot of respected NFL reporters' mocks. And you also see him going in the teens.
Yeah.
Like the high teens in some cases. Braden Swinson, the LSU edge rusher. Lathan Ransom, the Ohio State safety. Torrey Horton, I like him, the wide receiver out of Colorado State at 107. Went offensive tackle Holland Pierce. There's our man Dylan Sampson at 142. Jake Majors, the Texas center, at 182. Cam Jackson, I had that same pick at 194. And Kobe King, a linebacker out of Penn State. And like we talked about, did you have linebacker in your mock this week?
Yeah.
You did, right? I still don't. But as we talked about with the 5th-year option being picked up for Trayvon and not picked up for Devin Lloyd, you wonder where linebacker fits in the long-term plans. How much does Anthony Campanile plan on having 3 linebackers on the field is going to impact that? How many more years they think they can get out of Foye at a high level? What they feel about Ventrell Miller, but we'll see. A couple of days have gone by since they announced picking up the 5th-year option on Trayvon Walker. I have to presume they're not going to pick it up on Devin Lloyd at this point. Again, deadline's May 1st, so definitely could be wrong about that. They've got plenty of time, and there are a lot of things could influence that, including what they end up doing in the draft. Maybe you come away and you don't feel like the linebackers of value at any point. You say, all right, one more year of Devin Lloyd makes sense for us now. And they'll have that time after the draft to make that decision. All right, so we voted for Genty. Who did you vote for today, Dylan, on who would create the best trade back opportunity for the Jags?
I want to say quarterback just because it's the quarterback, Shedeur Sanders.
You'd be in the majority.
Yeah, I just feel like the Jets would do something crazy to be like, we got to get him, and then just go trade up and
Man, you know what? People have made a lot of money betting on the Jets going crazy, right? I mean, seriously, over the years, making stupid picks. Ken O'Brien over Dan Marino and on and on and on. But Shedeur getting 53% of about 200 votes right now in terms of if this player were available at 5, who do you think would create the most trade interest? Shedeur blowing the field away. Tony and I both voted for Genty, who's getting 19%, but distance second. Mason Graham getting 14.4%. I don't know, man. I feel like that is the lowest possibility. Or either of the top offensive linemen being available, coming in at 13% of the vote right now. The beauty is we won't have to wait too much longer.
No.
2 weeks from today, media mock draft. We'll knock out the first 16 selections, and Helmets and Heels will have the second 16 selections in the media mock draft, getting that all slotted out. So that's coming up in a couple of weeks. Tomorrow, got John Shipley.
Yes, we do.
Joining us in studio for the show from Jaguar Report. So we'll get all the thoughts from Ship 2 weeks out from the NFL draft and where the Jacksonville Jaguars stand and all their different facets of what they're trying to accomplish this offseason. All right, our time is done for today, so let's say hello to Helmets and Heels.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
All right, Mia O'Brien is here. Hello, Mia.
Hello. What's going on?
Well, I just feel like it's in the air, and maybe it's people being bored, that there's a lot more talk. People do definitely get bored, but there's a lot more, at least speculation, that Ashton Jeanty will go top 5, right? Like,
What day is it? It's April 9th, 8th. I feel like we're bored. We're bored. People be bored.
You don't think it's possible he goes top 5?
No, I think it's possible.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he's at the end of the day, and they referenced this, I believe it was on Jags AM, John Osher and Brian Sexton. At the end of the day, he is one of the few players in this class that has a first-round grade pretty much across the board.
He may be the highest graded player on a lot of teams' boards.
We don't know.
But
Very
it's,
well could be.
But sometimes those grades reflect positional value as well.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, if you want to get Ashton Jeanty, you pretty much know you got to be picking ahead of the Raiders. At least that's the feeling. We
Raiders got a lot of holes. They could go a lot of different ways.
Raiders could take Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
They really could.
Especially with Geno Smith. Now it's only a 2-year extension.
Right.
Which they also waited like a month and a half to release the details.
And he was the guy, that was the team everyone thought he wanted to play for. And it made perfect sense and all this stuff. So who's to say? But
I had an Uber driver in Vegas, by the way, even say to me, "We're going to take Shedeur." And I was like, oh, my God, it is like late December, mid-December, and we're already talking Shedeur to the Raiders.
Well, I mean, that was the talk. But Prisco had the Bears trading up to 5 to take Jeanty.
Okay.
And
I would take a trade back to 10.
Trapasso had the Jags taking Jeanty at 5. And we had Chad Ryder on from NFL.com today. He goes, don't be surprised if he's not available at 5. Because Mike Vrabel wants to build a ground-centric attack to help Drake May, which, how is that any
need a
different?
couple offensive linemen for that.
Sure
as
they
well.
do, but you could argue the
get
Jags
Ashton
do
Jeanty,
too.
right? You can't get Ashton Jeanty in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th.
Right, and you can't. Do you fix everything by drafting Will Campbell?
No.
I mean, not necessarily, right? You're still going to need. So anyway, I just think it's interesting that I feel like I'm not saying it's a bad selection. I'm just going to be so bored if the Jags just take Mason Graham, because this is what the coverage is going to be. Okay, Jags take Mason Graham. Let's get the Ashton Jeanty to the Raiders here, and there's going to be no discussion.
Well, I regret to inform you then, Mike, that John Jansen of the Go Blue podcast up in Michigan is going to join us at 12:20 to talk about Mason Graham on helmets and heels.
I'm not saying it's not a valid topic of discussion. I mean, everyone seems to think that's the most likely or safest pick. I'm just saying I'm sick of it by now.
Again, I will go to this, and I wrote about this in Mia's mock draft 1.0, where I did select Mason Graham with the 5th overall pick, Mike. I have heard enough smoke from people around the proximity to the Jaguars organization multiple times over about the Jaguars want big people, and is Mason Graham a big person?
I think it's fair.
He's 315 pounds, or at least he was during the season.
He is seen by some as an undersized defensive tackle.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And just because you want big people, they also want to improve the running game. They want to help Trevor Lawrence. You can still draft big people at pick 36, at pick 70, at pick 88, and on and on and on. In fact, especially with defensive tackle, that's a position you're probably going to get a really good player at pick 36. So
we will also hear from Liam Cohen, of course, at 1:15 from the Miller Electric Center. I will be on hand. We will carry that press conference live on Helmets and Heels on 1010XL, as well as Trevor Lawrence and Foye Lewican in the 2 o'clock hour on XL Primetime. I don't think any of those players will tell us, though, if the team is drafting Ashton Jeanty.
I don't think they have any idea who at least the players would not have an idea if they're taking.
I don't think Liam's going to say anything either. So
I'm pretty sure that will be the case. All right, well, have a great show.
Thank you.
Coming up, there you go. Mia O'Brien and Helmets and Heels coming your way next. Thanks to Chad Ryder for joining us. Oh, circle it on your calendar for Ship in the house tomorrow. Ship will come in, Tony. John Shipley for the full show tomorrow. Very excited about that. We got to call out to Prisco. Maybe he wants to weigh in on this whole Ashton Jeanty thing. We'll see how that all plays out. But if you love the draft, the next 2 weeks are going to be spectacular. If you hate the draft, you're probably not listening right now. So you know what? To all of you who are listening, more draft coming up tomorrow. No doubt about it. All right, that'll do it for Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark. Again, thanks to Chad Ryder from NFL.com. I'm Mike Dempsey. Helmets and Heels is next on 1010XL and 92.5.